The blood of innocent Hazaras reddens the soaring white peaks and the tulip-covered and rain-dusted plains of Hazara. Hazara burns like lava in the fire of Amir Abdurrahman's hatred and anger, and in the flames of this fire, the existence of a nation, a people, and a history are disappearing and being destroyed. In narrating the story of the suppression of Hazaras, Faiz Muhammad Khatib writes, "The supreme leader will destroy the foundation of these infidels so that no trace of them is left in their mountainous homelands, and their properties will be divided amongst the Ghilji and Durrani tribes." He called upon armies and volunteers from all corners of the God-given country of Afghanistan to gather upon the soil of the rebellious Hazara clans in such a way that no one from those misguided clans would be spared or left alive, and concubines and slaves from the said clans would be taken by every person from the Mujahideen tribes of Afghanistan. Amir, who has tasted blood and for whom the thirst for power and monopoly upon the land of Hazaras has turned into a complex, merely shedding the blood of Hazaras will not suffice. So he resorts to ethnic cleansing, and alongside the physical elimination of Hazaras, he puts into practice the policy of historical erasure of these people. Faiz Muhammad Khatib says, 40 armies of the kingdom, 10,000 strong auxiliary cavalry with 100 cannons, 100,000 infantrymen, and 20,000 strong armed non-military cavalry were sent from several directions into the Hazara areas of the country. At this time, of course, the Hazara uprising had spread to vast areas including Dar Suf, Sheikh Ali, Daikundi, Daizangi, Parsa, Darzab, Gizab, Besud, Yakaulang, Lal wa Sarjangal, Jaghuri, Jagatu, Sherdagh, Malistan, Nikpai, Alijam, Sepai, Karamali, Turkman, Yagistan, Hajristan, Uruzgan, Kohmart, Daichopan, Zauli, Chinartu, Sangimasha, Daya, Pashi, Chora, Fulada, Mir Adina, Sultan Ahmad, Qalandar, etc. And as a result of the Emir's military campaign, the majority residents of the mentioned areas were killed, forced to flee, plundered and destroyed, such that thousands of their women and girls were taken as captives and slaves, and thousands of Hazara boys and teenagers were forced into slavery, and upon the order of the Almighty Emir, they were sold by the government and local brokers in exchange for 12, 20 and 30 Afghanis in the markets of Kabul, Herat, Kandahar and Peshawar. The continuation of the policy of physical and historical elimination of Hazaras by the Emir and his forces on the one hand caused the massacre and deportation of more than 62% of Hazaras, and also brought about the erasure of the history of one of the native people of this land and region, namely the Hazaras. In the absence of a documented and detailed history otherwise, our people are faced with a history of martyrdom and sacrifices of the sages and heroes who have fallen in the defense of their homeland and people. And it is for this reason that the stories of the heroes and sages of this uprising have been passed down through generations as oral history, narrated as legends and myths. In this program that you are watching on the occasion of the remembrance of September 25 of the victims of the massacres and genocide of Hazaras by Abdul Rahman Khan, we endeavour to introduce to you a pillar of the legend and history of our people, and to bring out of myth and ambiguity one of the heroes of this uprising of Hazaras against discrimination and tyranny. The tyranny, discrimination and terror of Abdul Rahman and his bloodthirsty forces in Hazara continued, and it is narrated by Faiz Muhammad Khatib. Even though the remaining Hazara people were made to surrender, the armed militia carried out such atrocities during the confiscation of arms and resources that the heavens were covered in smoke and the sighs of the oppressed. Many people were killed, many women, girls and men were dishonored, and words cannot describe the suffering of those people. For example, they threw cats in the underwear of the women and burned their breasts and vulva so that they would reveal the locations of their weapon. In such a time when Hazara men and youth were massacred and enslaved, the girls of this land stood up and paid with their lives to protect the honor and dignity of this nation and the land against the tyranny of the Amir and his bloodthirsty army. Shireen, the sweet desire for independence and freedom. Shireen, the soaring falcon of a serene sky of freedom. Shireen, the glorious echo of endurance and steadfastness, still resilient and fearless, fighting front to front against wolves in human disguise for 7 whole days. At times, she watched Uruzgan being burnt and destroyed, and at times, she gazed at young girls and her fellow warriors, but she did not stop resisting. Shireen fought for 7 days in the war against the army of darkness and terror, and resolutely and bravely led 39 young girls. With each passing day, she saw the siege around her get narrower and the starvation become more destructive than the day before. The battle has crossed the safety barriers and turned into hand-to-hand combat. Shireen, who from the peaks witnessed her people's lives and homes set on fire and the people of her land killed and captured, knows too well the meaning of surrendering to the enemy. She, who upholds her and her companions' honor and dignity above all else, she who believes freedom to be the highest worth, and she who considers the spirit of sacrifice to be worth more than any price and value, cannot in any way allow the grips of terror and lust to dishonor her. So she fights determinedly and defends her and her companions' sacred sanctum. When she sees no possibility of continuing the fight and finds Uruzgan on the verge of fall, like a distinguished and experienced commander, she calls upon her comrades to retreat to the heights of Gulkhar, and her determination to become a legend and lore of resistance is born. Shireen knows that the Emir's greed for selling the dignity and honour of this land is not yet satiated, because she knows that the Emir has ordered that, as a price from the sale of Hazara girls and women, the purchaser is to pay 2 rupees or the price of a produce. Thousands of women and girls were brought and sold through this decree. Yet despite the issuance of the royal order, not a single rupee of the proceeds was recovered in the government's treasury. Faiz Muhammad Khatib in Siraj al-Tawarikh. Having used up their war supplies, Shireen and her comrades continue to resist by pelting the enemy with sticks and stones. But when she can no longer see in herself and her comrades the possibility of continuing the fight, they follow their plan and one after another take the flight of love from the peak to the bottom of Gulkhar mountain. And their memory becomes immortalized in the heart of the history of Uruzgan and Hazara. She paid the ultimate sacrifice and forever engraved their memory in the history and the minds of the people of this land. Later, when the fire of Amir's aggression is extinguished, the men of Hazaristan gather at the foot of the mountain on a clear night of Hazaristan and sing a hymn. The men and women of Hazaristan name the mountain Mountain of 40 Girls or دختران, and mark it as a place of eternal covenant for defense of the honor of the land of Hazaras. After this day, the men and women of Hazaristan, especially the people of Ajiristan, Uruzgan, Yawari and Ghazni, pledged to name their firstborn daughter Shireen. And to visit the graves of Shireen and her comrades for their wedding vows, and to feed to their children a taste of the soil where Shireen fell. May the memory of the great woman be honored for her resistance and sacrifice.
ما فعلا در سر کوی چیل دختر هستی و برگشت رئی هستی برای چیل دخترو که دتا یکی ازی زیر یکی ازم دی لاشه هسته لاشه کو زیر برف بمسته یک مقدار ناامید البته این هسته که ما آمدی یک فاتحه داده این حالی پس مادی